I hope this is the right size.
It's perfect, my dear. Look at the lovely pattern you've made.
I wanted to make you something special.
Thank you. It means so much to me.
Mẹ ơi, con có quà tặng mẹ nè. Mẹ ơi, con. Cảm ơn con.
I absolutely love this sweater you made me.
I bet.
I'm so glad you like it.
It looks great on you.
Hello and welcome to our channel. In today's story, you will witness a deeply touching moment as Huyen carefully prepares and presents a warm wool sweater to her mother-in-law, Mrs. San. From the daughter-in-law's thoughtfulness and filial devotion to the quiet emotion of a mother who has endured many harsh winters, this story is a gentle journey of love, understanding, and family bonding through the simplest acts. A small gift, yet one that warms not only the body, but also the heart, bringing the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law closer and stronger than ever. If you enjoy gentle, emotional family stories filled with meaningful messages like this one, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, and share to support us. Your subscription is our greatest motivation to continue bringing you more heartfelt and inspiring stories. Now, let's begin and immerse ourselves in this warm and touching story together. The winter afternoon arrived quietly, carrying with it a gentle chill that seeped into every corner of the small house. Outside, the sky was pale and heavy, and a thin wind brushed against the windows as if reminding everyone that the cold season had truly begun. Inside her room, Huyen sat by the bed, carefully folding a warm wool sweater she had prepared with so much thought and affection. She smoothed each sleeve, aligned the edges, and paused more than once to make sure everything looked perfect. The sweater was soft to the touch, thick enough to protect against the cold, yet gentle, chosen deliberately in a color she knew would suit her mother-in-law, Ba San. For Huyen, this was not just a piece of clothing. It was a quiet expression of gratitude, respect, and love that words alone could never fully convey. As she held the sweater in her hands, memories flowed through her mind. She thought about the many times Ba San had woken before dawn, her footsteps light but steady, to prepare meals for the family. She remembered the warmth of the older woman's voice, always calm, always patient, even after long days of hard work. Since becoming part of this family, Huyen had never once felt like an outsider. Ba San had welcomed her not as a guest, but as a daughter, guiding her gently, teaching her household routines, and offering quiet advice whenever Huyen felt unsure of herself. That kindness had settled deeply in Huyen's heart, growing into a sense of responsibility and sincere affection. The idea of gifting a sweater came to her on one particularly cold evening when she noticed Ba San rubbing her arms, trying to chase away the chill. No complaints were spoken, no discomfort mentioned, yet Huyen saw it clearly. From that moment, she resolved to find something that could keep her mother-in-law warm through the winter. She spent days considering fabrics, thickness, and colors, imagining how the sweater would feel against Ba San's skin, how it would look when she wore it while sitting by the stove or walking slowly through the yard. Every choice was guided by care, by the simple wish to give comfort. Now, as the moment of giving approached, Huyen felt a quiet nervousness settle in her chest. She slipped the folded sweater into a modest gift bag, her fingers lingering on the fabric for a final second, as if transferring her emotions into it. Her heart beat a little faster, not from fear, but from the hope that Ba San would feel the sincerity behind the gift. She did not expect praise or gratitude. She only wished that the sweater would bring warmth, both physical and emotional, to the woman who meant so much to her. When Huyen stepped out into the common room, the light was soft and golden. Ba San was sitting nearby, her posture relaxed, her face marked by the gentle lines of a life lived with patience and resilience. For a brief moment, Huyen simply watched her, feeling an overwhelming sense of respect. Taking a quiet breath, she walked forward and presented the gift with both hands, her movements careful and respectful. Her voice was soft when she spoke, carrying a warmth that matched the intention behind the sweater. In that simple act, offering a warm wool sweater on a cold winter day, Huyen poured all her unspoken feelings: gratitude for the love she had received, respect for the sacrifices Ba San had made, and a deep sense of filial devotion. The room seemed to hold its breath, as if acknowledging the significance of the moment. It was a small gesture, humble and simple, yet filled with meaning, marking another gentle step in the growing bond between a devoted daughter-in-law and a loving mother-in-law. Mrs. San received the gift with a calm, almost ceremonial slowness, as if she already sensed that what lay inside the modest bag was more than a simple object. Her hands, marked by years of work and quiet sacrifice, trembled slightly as she loosened the folds of the wrapping. When the wool sweater appeared, neatly folded and soft in color, a gentle look of surprise crossed her face. She did not speak right away. Instead, she reached out and touched the fabric, letting her fingers linger as though she were reading a message hidden within each careful stitch. The sweater felt warm even before she put it on, and in that warmth, Mrs. San felt something deeper stir in her heart. As she unfolded the sweater fully, memories of past winters quietly surfaced. She remembered long, cold seasons when warmth had been a luxury, when she had wrapped herself in thin layers while continuing to work without complaint. In those years, she had grown used to putting her own comfort aside for the sake of her family. Now, holding this sweater given by her daughter-in-law, Mrs. San felt an unfamiliar but deeply touching sense of being cared for. It was not the thickness of the wool that moved her, but the thought that someone had noticed her, had worried about her, and had taken the time to choose something meant just for her. Slowly, Mrs. San lifted the sweater and put it on. The wool settled gently over her shoulders, the sleeves fitting comfortably as if it had been made with her in mind. Almost immediately, she felt the cold retreat, replaced by a steady, soothing warmth that spread across her back and arms. Yet the greatest warmth did not come from the fabric itself. It came from the realization that this gift was a reflection of Huyen's sincere heart. In that moment, Mrs. San's eyes softened, and a faint smile appeared on her lips, carrying both gratitude and emotion she struggled to put into words. She looked up and met Huyen's gaze. In the young woman's eyes, Mrs. San saw respect, nervous hope, and genuine affection. That look alone was enough to make her chest tighten. For a brief second, her vision blurred and she blinked slowly, holding back tears that threatened to fall. She had never expected anything in return for her care and guidance. She had simply acted according to her nature as a mother. Yet now, standing there in a warm sweater chosen with such thoughtfulness, she felt her efforts acknowledged in the most tender way. Mrs. San reached out and gently adjusted the sleeves, then smoothed the front of the sweater, almost as if she were grounding herself in the reality of the moment. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was soft and slightly unsteady. She thanked Huyen not just for the sweater, but for her kindness, for her attentiveness, and for the respect she showed as a daughter-in-law. Each word was simple, yet heavy with emotion. Around them, the room felt quieter, as though the ordinary sounds of daily life had paused to make space for this heartfelt exchange. As Mrs. San sat down again, wrapped in the warmth of the sweater, she felt a deep sense of peace settle within her. The cold outside no longer seemed so harsh. She realized that the greatest comfort of old age was not material security, but the presence of sincere hearts within the family. In Huyen, she saw more than a daughter-in-law. She saw a daughter who understood her, who cared for her in quiet, meaningful ways. That realization filled her with a gentle joy that warmed her far more than any fire ever could. In that moment, Mrs. San understood that this simple sweater symbolized something lasting, a bond built on respect, gratitude, and love. It was proof that her family would continue to be held together not by obligation, but by genuine affection passed from one generation to the next. Huyen stood quietly for a moment, watching as Mrs. San adjusted the sleeves of the wool sweater and settled back into her chair. The sight filled her with a deep, unexpected calm, as though something fragile yet important had finally found its rightful place. She had not realized how much emotion she had been holding inside until now. Seeing her mother-in-law wrapped in the warmth she had chosen so carefully made her heart soften, and a gentle sense of fulfillment spread through her chest. It was not pride, she felt, but relief. Relief that her feelings had been understood without needing to be spoken aloud. Mrs. San reached out and took Huyen's hands in hers. Her palms were warm, steady, and reassuring, carrying the quiet strength of someone who had endured many seasons of hardship and joy. The simple gesture caught Huyen by surprise, and for a brief moment, she struggled to hold back her emotions. Mrs. San's eyes shone with affection as she spoke, her voice low but sincere. She thanked Huyen once more, not in the formal way people often express gratitude, but with the tenderness of a mother speaking to her own child. In that instant, the distance that once existed between them, however small, disappeared completely. The room seemed warmer now, not just because of the sweater, but because of the bond being sealed in that quiet exchange. Outside, the winter wind continued to blow, brushing against the walls and windows, yet it no longer felt threatening. Inside, there was a sense of safety, of belonging. Huyen sat down beside Mrs. San, listening as she spoke about small memories from the past, about winters long gone, about raising her son, about the hopes she once carried and the fears she had learned to let go. Each story was gentle, unadorned, yet filled with emotion, and Huyen listened with a respect that came from the heart. As Mrs. San spoke, Huyen realized that this moment marked a quiet turning point of her life. Marriage had brought new roles and responsibilities, but it was moments like this that gave those roles true meaning. She was no longer simply a daughter-in-law trying to do her best. She was becoming a true part of the family's emotional core. The trust in Mrs. San's voice, the warmth in her touch, and the acceptance in her eyes all spoke of a bond that would endure beyond daily routines and shared meals. Mrs. San squeezed Huyen's hands gently, as if to reassure her without words. She spoke of how grateful she was to have such a thoughtful and kind-hearted daughter-in-law, someone who noticed the small things and cared deeply without seeking recognition. Her words were not exaggerated, yet each sentence carried weight. They settled into Huyen's heart, strengthening her resolve to continue nurturing this relationship with patience and sincerity. As the evening slowly approached, the light in the room softened, casting long, peaceful shadows across the floor. The sweater rested comfortably on Mrs. San's shoulders, a quiet symbol of care and connection. Huyen glanced at it and smiled to herself, realizing that a simple object could hold so much meaning when given with genuine love. She understood then that family bonds were not built through grand gestures, but through small, thoughtful acts repeated over time. When Huyen finally stood to leave, Mrs. San held her hand a little longer than necessary. There was no need for more words. The warmth between them was already complete. As Huyen stepped away, she carried with her a sense of belonging that would remain long after the winter passed. And Mrs. San, sitting quietly in her sweater, felt the comforting certainty that she was no longer facing the colder seasons of life alone.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Live Single RV. Vậy là câu chuyện của chúng ta ngày hôm nay đã kết thúc tại đây. Trong câu chuyện hôm nay của chúng ta đã kể về nội dung đó chính là việc Huyền rất là hiếu thảo, và cô cũng rất là khéo tay khi đã tự tay mình đan một chiếc áo len tặng bà Sam, mẹ chồng của mình, chính là mẹ của Đệ. Bà Sam khi nhận được món quà từ con dâu thì bà đã rất là cảm động và xúc động vì tấm lòng hiếu thảo của Huyền. Khi nhận chiếc áo len này bà đã rơi nước mắt vì đây là lần đầu tiên trong đời bà được một ai đó tặng một món quà ý nghĩa như thế. Bà đã mặc thử chiếc áo len và bà rất là ưng ý với chiếc áo len này. À, Đệ thì cũng cảm thấy rất là vui vì Huyền đã đối xử với mẹ của mình rất là tốt như thế. Cả ba người đều rất là vui vẻ, hạnh phúc. Tất cả các câu chuyện tiếp theo về cuộc sống của Huyền, Đệ và bà Sam, cũng như là của bé Mai A sẽ còn được kể ở các video tiếp theo. Các bạn đừng quên bấm vào nút subscribe để đăng ký kênh, sẽ nhận được thông báo mới nhất về các câu chuyện sẽ được phát sóng hàng ngày trên kênh Live Single RV nha. Đừng quên bấm like, share và để lại comment ở dưới video. Mọi ý kiến đóng góp của các bạn sẽ giúp mình cải thiện các nội dung hay hơn nữa trên kênh để phục vụ các khán giả. Cảm ơn các khán giả rất nhiều đã luôn dành tình cảm cho kênh của mình. Thanks for watching my video. Please continue support my channel everyone. Bye bye. See you soon everyone.